Tonight, officers slam motorists choosing to drive under the influence across the Mid-North, and an extraordinary council meeting held to discuss the future of an art mural in Broken Hill.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. A month-long police operation targeted at drug drivers has left officers disappointed. 25% of motorists tested returned a positive reading, a statistic they say is still too high.
1 in 4 drivers caught behind the wheel with drugs in their system.
And unfortunately, of the huge number of people that we've been testing in the last month or so, about 25% of those people are found to have a drug in their system.
Random roadside testing can detect active ingredients in cannabis, ecstasy, speed and ice for up to 24 hours after use.
It is now random drug testing. So the people that are stopped are submitted to a very quick test that's done on the side of the road.
A positive result can lead to a hefty fine and a loss of 4 demerit points, also leaving the driver with the possibility of a criminal record.
The vehicle can be impounded, there's losses of licence, and as you would have seen on the advertisements on television, it can impact you for a long time down the track.
Drug drivers have a lack of coordination. With that comes slower reaction times, lane drifting, tailgating and risk-taking.
It does affect their ability to think clearly, it affects their response time.
Police say the high number of people caught under the influence of drugs while driving on our country roads is simply unacceptable.
It's dangerous. We have a lot of people killed on our country roads, unfortunately, and a lot of those people have been affected by either alcohol or drugs.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
SES crews were called to Fisherman's Wharf in Port Pirie this morning following reports a boat had sunk overnight. Volunteers were unable to salvage the vessel, with specialist equipment needed to complete the retrieval operation. Locals don't believe foul play is involved. The damage bill is not yet known. A man and woman will face court following a disturbance in Whyalla. Just before 11 a.m. on Thursday, a man and woman entered a Nicholson Avenue business and allegedly threatened staff members. Police were called after an alarm was activated, but the offenders fled the scene. They returned later that day with the man allegedly picking up a rock from outside and throwing it at staff. Police attended a Whyalla Norrie address where the pair was arrested. They were charged with a raft of offences. Investigations are continuing into the cause of a massive blaze that destroyed a shed in Whyalla. Fire crews managed to prevent its spread, however, to other nearby properties. John Hunt has more.
Mere rubble now. This back shed was ablaze on Saturday night, with fire crews rushing to the scene to contain it. Police are now investigating how the fire was started and whether it was deliberate or an accident. MFS crews were called to the property on Playford Avenue at around 7:30 p.m, which is next door to Southern Cross Television's Whyalla office. On arrival, they were confronted with a back shed ablaze, with smoke visible from as far away as the Lincoln Highway. It took them just under half an hour to bring the blaze under control. Crews were also faced with the challenge of asbestos in the roofing of the shed.
The asbestos side of it, we ensured that, I believe that that's now been cleaned up by council, so that's all good, and we took the precautions to protect our guys as well.
The property owner had passed away last year, with the house believed to be vacant.
There wasn't a lot of equipment in the shed, very, very minor, so consequently it was just the timber, the asbestos and the shed itself.
Police have taken up the baton investigating the cause of the fire and whether it was deliberately lit. Damage to the property is estimated at $15,000.
John Hunt reporting there. And as the clocks turn back for the end of daylight savings this coming Sunday, the MFS is reminding those in the region to check their smoke alarms. Local firefighters say working smoke detectors are vital for the safety of local homes.
Well, it is a life-saving piece of equipment and therefore should be treated as such. So once a month, give your detector a quick test. There's a test button on there for you to make sure it operates. Residents are advised to test or replace the device if it's over 10 years old. Well, what started as another addition to Broken Hill's public art scene has escalated to an extraordinary battle involving council. Councillors are tonight voting on whether a mural in the city's CBD will have to be painted over. Patrick Reinke explains.
Over a month ago, local artist John Hinton started work on this mural here in Crystal Lane, but for weeks it's been unfinished. Local GP Dr Ramu Nechapan commissioned Mr Hinton to paint the unique piece on the site of his surgery, giving the artist free rein over the design. The mural shows him sitting atop a giant elephant. Passers-by were quick to give their approval, but unfortunately the same couldn't be said for council. A development application has not been filed for the work, something that was done for a similar piece at the Sufi Bookshop last year. Councillors Tom Kennedy, Ron Page and Bob Allgate called tonight's extraordinary meeting, wanting council to retrospectively approve the mural. They thought council's alleged heavy-handed approach to dealing with the mural was disappointing. While he said he's for the mural to go ahead, Council's General Manager James Ronkin says Council faces legal backlash if an application hasn't been lodged first.
It's really about content. The DA really controls that, and to make sure that it's appropriate in the, for the surrounds. So, and particularly if it's in a heritage area, then obviously it's important that that it fits in with the council's heritage requirements. So, but I don't think it's a big deal. There's no, if a DA hasn't been put in, we'll certainly work with the proponent to make sure that he does so.
In his report to councillors, he said approving the mural prematurely would be unlawful. He added that this activity has seen metropolitan councils lose their planning powers and independent hearing and assessment panels being set up. He says if such a thing happened in Broken Hill, worse outcomes for the community may occur.
In the news ahead, the New Country University Centre helping uni students in Broken Hill study without having to travel. That's next. A group of Whyalla residents is leading the charge for the town to become a refugee welcome zone for those fleeing persecution. One of its leaders says not only is it the right thing to do, it could also help end the region's skill shortage.
On Palm Sunday, a group of residents stood together in Whyalla, calling for better treatment of refugees. The event was part of a national day of action aimed at ending Australia's mandatory detention policy.
Jesus and his family had to flee, the threat of death from a tyrant. And so many people around the world experience that.
A group of local residents are now pushing for the city to become a refuge. It wants the council to sign up and become a refugee welcome zone, joining over 200 local government authorities nationwide.
Whyalla has form in this, of course, having been the first community refugee resettlement place in Australia back in 1978, 79, 80.
The group met with council and presented on the subject last year.
We've followed up with them a couple of times and, I think everything's underway.
Beyond giving the persecuted a home, Father Jim says there's an economic benefit as well. He says resettling refugees in Whyalla can also help address the predicted need for an increased workforce in the Upper Spencer Gulf.
People move to Whyalla with their families than have the labour shortage of the future provided for by fly-in, fly-out.
Whyalla Council says it's keen on the idea and has begun working through the process. John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
Local groups planning to hold NAIDOC Week celebrations are being urged to apply for government grants before they close next Tuesday. The grants will help support events celebrating Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander culture, such as marches, parades and other community events. This year's theme is titled Because of Her, We Can, celebrating the influence of Aboriginal women. This year, NAIDOC Week is set to run from July 8. A new hub for uni students in Broken Hill has been showcased to the public. The New Country University Centre allows those studying tertiary courses the opportunity to undertake degrees without having to commute.
Studying from the comfort of your hometown.
We are a study zone, which is high-tech facility with gorgeous design features for students within our region.
Blink and you'll miss it, but tucked behind the Broken Hill Community Credit Union is an opportunity for university-bound locals to study from home.
It just provides another option for those students that find it too expensive to relocate or are already settled within the community but want to continue their tertiary education.
The centre has a number of workspaces for all students as well as high-speed internet, outdoor facilities and teleconferencing. And it's open from 7 a.m. to midnight every day of the week.
Well, there's everything here, even a kitchen. So, once we've been studying for several hours, you want to have a break and you can go straight to the kitchen, you can make a coffee and just have some downtime rather than getting distracted at home.
Courtney is just one of 20 students already registered to use the Country University Centre. with 40 more showing interest.
Don't think about it. Definitely come down here straight away. You'll see for yourself how great it is.
The way that I've explained it to some people is that you go to the gym to exercise when you could do that at home. It's an area where it can help you focus and sit down and actually get what you need done.
Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
After the break, the region turns purple for National Epilepsy Day. The details next. Well, today is all about the colour purple as the community focuses on discussing epilepsy. Locals say talking about the disease is important to let sufferers in regional centres know they're not alone.
Epilepsy can be an isolating and debilitating disease, with sufferers often feeling like they're alone.
Most people have heard of epilepsy, but they don't realise the effect that it can have on your life.
Purple Day is a worldwide event aimed at raising awareness about the neurological disease.
Learning a little bit about epilepsy, recognising seizures, how to help somebody having a seizure, we can vastly improve the lives of those people that are living with this condition.
It is quite special and I suppose it gives you an opportunity to look back on your journey.
Nearly 4,000 regional South Australians currently suffer from epilepsy.
Those people that will be diagnosed in their lifetime is 13,600.
With no current known cure, some sufferers need to take medication twice daily to prevent seizures.
Medication morning and night and haven't had a seizure since I've been taking medication, so I'm one of the very lucky ones.
6-year-old Grace Bailey from Port Pirie was diagnosed with epilepsy just 7 months ago.
She's gone about 4 months without a seizure and we thought we're getting on top of it, but then she had one about a week ago.
I feel like you've been hit by a truck and you're actually wiped out for a week.
I guess the more it's happening, the more used to it you become, and I guess you realise that she's going to be okay, but the first couple of times of seeing it were absolutely terrifying.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
The Port Lincoln cricket season has come to an end over the weekend with champions crowned across the 3 main comps. In the A grade, Southern Air's total of 147 was too much for Tasman, which fell short by 80 runs. It was the same story in the B grade, Tasman also coming up short in that match. But in the senior Colts, Tasman finally got a win, with Waybacks unable to chase down the target set for them. Congratulations to all winners. To some more sport now. Port Augusta's basketball season came to a fiery finish on Saturday night, with the Wildcats and Falcons Black winning the A-grade grand finals. Amelia Simpson joins us with more. Amelia, it was quite an event.
It sure was, Fraser. While it was a day packed with grand finals from all divisions, crowds packed here at the stadium at Central Oval to watch the highly anticipated A-grade games. In the women's, Falcons Black defeated Spartans Grey, and in the men's, the Wildcats rose to the top as the reigning champions. It was a tight competition in the women's first quarter with low scores as they struggled to keep the ball, both teams sitting on 4 points at the first siren. Despite strong defence tactics from Spartans Grey, it became quite clear that Falcons Black had that edge, sitting on 8 points ahead by half-time. By the third, Falcons Black were 4 points shy of doubling Spartans Grey's score, 38-21. The desperate Spartans could only muster up another 8 points in the final quarter, while Falcons polished off their game and then their grand final trophy on 47 points. Big celebrations for Falcons Black that night, I'm sure. It was an unexpected premiership steal in the men's. The Cobras had maintained their top spot on the ladder throughout the 2017-18 season, but Saturday night was a different game. After the first jump, the Wildcats crept up to a 10-point lead over their opponents, finishing the first quarter 24-14. With a plan of attack, Cobras crept up in the second quarter, only 5 points behind, but struggled to close the gap. With Brett McCurley scoring 19 points for his team, the Wildcats claimed the unexpected victory, 64-51. Across the rest of the region, the season is wrapping up as Broken Hill held their semis ahead of their grand finals later this week, with wins for Rel's team and Freeballers. It's been a fantastic season of basketball, and in Port Augusta, inclusive basketball is set to start back up over the winter months. Now, if you've got local sports results you want seen here on TV, drop us a line at localsport@sca.com.au. Fraser?
Thank you, Amelia. Amelia Simpson in Port Augusta there. Well, stay with us after the break. Abby Donaldson joins us with the local weather. And Abby, it was a cooler start to the week around the Gulf.
It was indeed, Fraser, with a return to those cooler autumn temperatures. However, it is set to warm up again. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. It was a fine and cool autumn day around all centres today. 23 was the top in Port Augusta, 21 in Whyalla, Port Lincoln and Broken Hill, and 22 was the max for Port Pirie. Checking the satellite now, and a low pressure trough is triggering patchy showers mainly in the southeast. However, the high pressure system is continuing to keep skies clear in the north of the state. If you're planning to spend some time on the waters tomorrow, there will be northerly winds shifting northeasterly up to 15 knots. Seas will reach 2 metres and the sun will pop up at 26 past 7. Taking a look at tomorrow's weather, it's going to warm up quite a lot in Port Augusta, 30 the top tomorrow with plenty of sunshine forecast. Meanwhile, temps will warm up a little in the west too, tops in the mid-20s in Port Lincoln and Coffin Bay. It's going to feel more like summer in Woodner, Corn and Port Pirie tomorrow, with temps hovering around the low 30s, and we'll see maximums in the mid to high 20s for all other districts. Looking towards the start of the long weekend, and temperatures will stay in the low 20s in Port Lincoln and Cleve, while Woodner can expect 26 on Thursday after a warmer 31 earlier in the week. Further up the Gulf, and temperatures in Whyalla will creep towards 30 degrees tomorrow before dropping to 23 degrees on Good Friday. Port Augusta will see a fine 28 on Thursday, while Kadina can expect some showers and a top of 24 later in the week. Port Pirie will warm back up to 30 tomorrow, with temps sitting in the mid-20s later in the week. Temperatures will also stay in the 20s in Clare, while sunny conditions will continue in Broken Hill and a top of 27 on Friday. So Fraser, we're in store for some fine and warmer conditions around the Spencer Gulf as we look towards the Easter long weekend.
Those sunny days are most welcome. Thanks, Abby. A look at tonight's top stories now. A month-long police operation aimed at drug drivers has left officers disappointed. 25% of motorists tested returned a positive reading, a statistic they say is still too high. Investigations are continuing into the cause of a massive blaze that destroyed a shed in Whyalla. Fire crews managed to prevent its spread to other nearby properties when it broke out on Saturday night. And what started as another addition to Broken Hill's public art scene has escalated to an extraordinary battle involving council. Councillors are tonight voting on whether a mural in the city's CBD will have to be painted over. And that's Southern Cross News for this Monday. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates later. Until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.